Welcome to Jersey Rules. Today we're tackling the reality behind one of the biggest threats facing New Jersey retailers, retail theft, and how that affects store workers, small businesses, and shoppers alike. Governor Phil Murphy just recently signed into law a bill fighting these types of things with the bill 84755, in which it hopes to combat organized retail crime. And today we have leaders and frontline experts that'll help shape what's coming next. I have here Montville Police Chief Andrew Cagiono, speaking from the enforcement side of the equation. I have here Tina Marie Pilot, overseeing asset protection statewide for Wegmans. We have Jesse Levine, Senior Director of Operations at Ravitz Family Markets, and Delaney Redford, who helped shape the bill as Director of Public Affairs for the New Jersey Food Council. This just isn't about a law, it's about community and protection and how we can keep the Garden State growing. So let's jump into this. The first segment we're going to do, as I said, what's happening on the ground. So let's open with this, and we'll start with you and go this way. What are you seeing out there? Has retail theft changed in frequency and scale or boldness from what you observe?
So I've been doing this for 25 years, and the criminals continue to get better at what they do. So what I have seen is, especially with organized retail crime, it is more organized. Basically what is going on is we were getting rings of thieves coming into my store. They are loading up on product. It's more organized, it's more structured. They'll have like groups of people. You get boosters coming into my store. They're getting lists of items to steal, and then they're just wiping off my shelves. They're more violent, they're more aggressive. It's just getting progressively worse. They're more technologically sound. They're using different technologies. They're using burner phones. They're using many things. It's very hard to keep up with their new technologies and what they're doing. But we are seeing just an increase overall with this.
Yes, I just want to point on a key factor that Tina covered there of the increased violence. That was a big concern for us, especially with protecting the communities, protecting the employees. Just a data fact for that, the violence in the retail workplace survey shows that more than 2/3 of employee respondents in 2023 say they experienced an increase in violence during organized retail crime incidents compared to 2022. So the increased violence was a huge concern with that as well.
Wow. At least you get the phone calls.
We do.
So what are you seeing?
Yeah. So we used to see that they were a lot more technical about it. You know, they would try to hide what they were doing, and that has shifted drastically to where they just will walk out. You know, they will just wipe out a shelf like was mentioned, or they will just take a cart full of items and just walk right out of the store. And they don't care if someone tries to stop them, you know, they will push their way through. You know, it's become a lot more aggressive, a lot more pervasive, you know, and we've seen that.
It's the same experience. It's the blatantness, it's the pervasiveness, it's and what we had started to see was almost a displacement effect. From neighboring states who have also enacted tougher ORC laws, and the criminals know this, and you know, as a result, they've been displaced. In my case, from down South Jersey and Philadelphia areas and PA, we've seen large upticks in those types of organized retail crimes. But it's a blatantness, it's a pervasiveness of this is something I've never seen before, and is very troubling.
So how are the police encountering? So, you know, they're going, clearly security isn't helping. So what are the police encountering? How are they able to respond differently than security is able to?
Yeah, so we'll respond obviously to the scene when we get called, but we're taking a much more investigative approach to these. You know, we're seeing that because they're organizations and because they're, you know, it's the same people doing it in not only in Montville Township, but they're in Parsippany, they're in East Hanover, they're down South Jersey. You know, they're organized groups. So law enforcement's working closer together. You know, it's not just an isolated crime in one particular town. So we have to work better with each other, and we have to work smarter to make sure that we can, you know, stop these organizations.
Okay. Ms. Pilot, at Wegmans, how has the nature of theft shifted, And are your asset protection teams, how are they newly responding to this?
So over the years, how has our role shifted? So it definitely is, our security personnel has to be more focused on safety and security as well. Whereas it used to be you stop a shoplifter and they're going to cooperate with you. Now they're not, so I'm more concerned about their own safety, about customer safety, so that's a big issue. Again, the types of crimes that they're committing, they're more advanced with that. So you have to be more aware, you have to know, you have to be a security expert now in what you do. You're not just catching a shoplifter coming into your store, they're using online marketplaces to fence some of the products. So a lot of times we're looking online, you have to be able to build cases. So it's not just a security job, you have to be a security professional in this new role. And stuff is what I'm seeing. And again, the violence, being more aware of the fact that anytime you go out to stop someone, you could be assaulted, you could be hurt, customers could be hurt. So that's a big part of the role, has changed significantly, where it used to be almost like a game where you're catching people. It was like a game almost. Now the stakes are a lot higher where you can get injured and stuff with this.
Well, our members are expressing to us that they're facing this daily. This is a day-to-day problem that they're seeing all the time, and they're expressing that they want to protect their employees, they want to protect their communities, and they also want to ensure that the offenders who are doing this time and time again are being treated. I'm so sorry. They want to ensure that the offenders that are doing this over and over again are facing those crimes as an organized effort, not just the day-to-day crime that they're doing.
So, like, we're not focusing so much on the kid that comes to steal candy, or more so on the bigger overall arching.
Yes, that's a key point for us, is that organized retail crime is not the normal day-to-day shoplifter. Organized retail crime is something bigger. It's a organized crime ring they're doing this professionally. They're professional criminals.
That's an interesting term, professional criminal. This next segment, we're going to talk about the expectations and what we look for. So from you, we're going to move forward to this way. Now that the law is passed, what do each of you expect to hope to see in the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, so in my opinion, the most important thing we could have going forward is a centralized agency, right? So some way of centralizing information, because as Delaney mentioned earlier, it's everywhere, and the effectiveness of these crews going up and down our major corridors is really an impressive feat. How much and how product agnostic they can be. Between the big box retailers and smaller, single store operators. So having that centralized agency when these people are going through the counties would be huge, to do the research, to do the investigations, and then ultimately prosecution and shut these organizations down at the head. That's to me would be the most impactful thing, because we're not stopping the low-level offenders. We're not looking at the petty theft at all. This is organized retail crime and retail theft. So yeah, shutting these organizations down at the top rather than what prior would have been, really go after those boosters at the bottom, and that's not who we're really after. So that centralized agency will be huge.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off what he said. Like, I think it's going to be, for law enforcement, it's going to be that collaboration, right? Like between our retailers, it's going to be that collaboration with our prosecutors and both our state, county, and federal agencies. Because this doesn't just sit in New Jersey. These organizations go outside of New Jersey. They cross over to New York. Where I am, we're 30 minutes outside of Manhattan. We get people that come out to us, and we get ours that go across the river to them, to New York. So it's going to be that collaborative effort, from the cop on the street to the prosecutor in the courthouse, to make these cases, put them together, and make sure that we make a big impact. And I think this law can really help us do that.
I know we're hoping to see that this law causes more deterrence, that the normal day-to-day boosters aren't going out as often, and they're seeing that New Jersey is actually fighting back against ORC.
And I'm hoping this law is going to bring about greater collaboration. So for years, the retailer and loss prevention professionals, we put together great cases, but then to have someone actually take the case and run with it, it was always lacking. So I'm hoping there's going to be a lot more collaboration with that. I'm hoping that you're going to see the numbers of apprehensions and arrests go up, but eventually, hopefully, that'll drop because people will be punished, people will be prosecuted. So I'm hoping we're also going to see that, though, not just, again, you can target the boosters that are coming into my store, but I want to get the leaders of these organizations because those are the ones that are really driving this. So hopefully we'll see more convictions because of this.
Okay, so like for people who view this at home and watch TV, when you view like a head of an organization, you think of movies where you have this kingpin somewhere who's telling groups to go around. Is this something that we're actually experiencing in this?
Yeah, I can absolutely. So these organizations put some white-collar criminals to shame. They are very organized. They're highly structured. I mean, we did a case years ago in New Jersey called Operation Bullseye, where it was worth millions of dollars. I mean, and it was funding, some of the money was funding terrorism. So these groups, a lot of the monies, you get involved with human trafficking, you get involved with drugs, you get involved with terrorist organizations. So these are highly organized, sophisticated groups that are out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see them, there's different facets to it, right? The people who run it, the people who fence the product, the people who actually go out and steal it. But there is an organization behind them, and that's what's driving this. And we need to go after those individuals, and we need to make sure we put them, behind bars and keep them from creating these organizations, which is wreaking havoc on our state.
And if I can piggyback off what Tina said earlier, I think one of the most important things we can do here is have the conversations about organized retail crime and how it is different and separate entirely from petty theft and just your average shoplifter. As Tina pointed out, the nexus and what you can link back in organized retail crime when it comes to transnational crime. A lot of people aren't aware of that, and it's been proven. I mean, these are things you can, the FBI has spoken about, and a lot of the federal agencies have shown through their efforts. So I think that distinction is really important, especially in the court of public opinion.
So we talked to our members and we got feedback from our loss prevention professionals to give us the measures that they wanted to see that would target these groups specifically. A prime example would be what we've called the Al Capone clause, which goes after the leaders of these groups who evade taxes. Because when they're reselling the product, they're not charging sales tax on it. So we've gone after segments of the crimes that could be done by the leaders of these groups.
And you all have worked with Assemblyman Danielson in this. How has that process been for you? Like, how has he heard you? And I'm sure he has, but when you was explaining the situation to him, how was the feedback and what you were receiving from the legislature?
I'll jump in first. Assemblyman Danielson was a great partner in this. All the sponsors of the bill were a great partner. They sat down and took time to listen to us and listen to the real life stories that our members had given about what happened in their stores and why this bill was so necessary.
I think they were very receptive. I mean, if you look at it, this bill passed unanimously. I think there was such a public outcry going around in the country now because of what they're seeing on the news and everything that everyone was willing to listen to us and wanted to do something. So I think I was very happy with the way things were going for this.
So I serve on our state chiefs board for New Jersey, and this was a piece of legislation that we saw that was very important. It's impacting police chiefs around the state, and it's impacting our police officers as well. So our association was very excited to get behind this bill and support it, and we're very excited that it passed.
Yeah, and I guess lastly, in a time where politics can be divisive and partisan, I did not get that sense one bit through this process. It's been a great show of support, questions, collaboration, and ultimately, to Tina's point, we're unanimously supportive of the bill and the good things that this bill will do. So it's actually it's been a fairly painless process, but a good one.
So now that now the bill is signed, we have a way forward, right? How does this resonate with people who work in the store where, they don't want to, I wouldn't want to chase a criminal outside the store and potentially get hurt for $10 worth of cereal, even though, for the store it's a lot. For my life, not so much. Do they feel more comfortable, or more so that the law enforcement and the law and the legislature is behind them?
So what I think we're going to see down the road, it's not going to be an overnight thing. However, over the past few years, employees, customers, everyone's frustrated. We were all frustrated that the same people are coming into our stores doing the same crimes. There's no product on the shelf. We have to keep things under lock and key. There is such a level of frustration that I think as this law comes into play and things start changing, you're going to see that change. It is going to take a little time, though. But I think the biggest thing is the lack of, you tend to lose morale when you're coming in every day, you're doing your job, and then you're having to deal with this group of people coming into your stores. Hopefully, though, I think we are going to see some changes.
I would
though.
agree. I know we're looking to make public awareness around this as well, so that the public knows that there's measures out there to protect them and the employees specifically with the aggravated assault of a retail worker section of the bill, just to, again, make them feel safer and know that they are protected when they're on the job.
My question is going to be a little bit different for you. From the law enforcement perspective, morale is important for them as well, but also, is there a designated group? So you have like homicide, theft. Will there be a designated group of people looking into organized retail crime?
So like an agency like mine, we have 41 sworn officers, and I have a detective bureau, and our detective bureau handles those cases, and they do routinely. I do want to kind of piggyback off morale, right? Like police officers have the same morale as well. Like going down and arresting the same person over and over, and this goes into a bigger issue, but bail reform, right? Bail reform hinders us in a respect where you get, and I think this bill goes and makes some changes which will help us, where a police officer arresting the same person over and over and over and having to just give them a summons and have them walk out the door is frustrating. It's very frustrating for the police officer. It's frustrating for the business owner. But being able to aggregate some of these dollar amounts for what they do gives us a better teeth into, to be able to hold them longer, or be able to hold them accountable for what they're doing, because they are doing this for profit, right? Like this is not just somebody who just needs milk because they're hungry, right? So that's where I think this is going to help us in law enforcement. It gives it some more teeth for us to be able to, enforce the law, and the law that should have been enforced for years on end. So, but a big step of it is that morale issue, right? Like we want those police officers to feel empowered to say like, hey, this law backs you up. Go out, do your job, do it right, and we're going to make a difference, not only to the people in our community, but for our businesses in our community. So.
I want to thank each and every one of you, first and foremost, for putting forth this legislation that helps our community and our state. Because as a consumer myself, I don't own a store, but I do know what it's like to go in the store and not have what I want because of these things. And I want to thank you guys for putting your minds together and working with the legislature to pass this thing. This is Jersey Rules. We hope you learned a lot today about the bill A4755 and how it impacts us and builds a better, stronger New Jersey and community. Thank you for listening. Remember to like and subscribe.